Citizens and all people living in Uganda. The 28th session, this year's COP, will be held at the Expo City, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Uganda's delegation will be led by the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Uganda, Right Honorable Robin Anabanja. Delegates, who include world leaders, ministers, and negotiators from 198 countries who signed and ratified the UNFCCC, Kyoto Protocol, and the Paris Agreement, will meet to agree on how to address climate change. Fellow citizens, COP28 comes at a decisive moment for international climate action. Temperature records are being repeatedly broken, and the climate impacts felt in unprecedented wildfires, floods, storms, and droughts worldwide. The United Nations Global Stocktake Synthesis Report shows much more must be done to meet the goals of the landmark Paris Agreement. COP28, therefore, presents a critical opportunity to put the world on a more sustainable path. Fellow citizens, the latest COP negotiations are hinged on ensuring that the world meets the Paris Agreement's central goal, which is to strengthen the global response to the threat of climate change by keeping a global temperature rise this century well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase even further to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The latest global science by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, 6th Assessment Report 2022, stated that the average global temperatures continue to rise due to increased emissions of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and therefore it is envisaged that with the current rate of emissions, it will be impossible to achieve the overall goal of the Paris Agreement. Natural resources are the bedrock of our existence, and their judicial utilization and management determine our future. That, fellow citizens, is the urgency with which we should take climate change. It is real and does not spare anyone from its impacts. Fellow Ugandans, the world is witnessing the devastating consequences of climate change and the severe strain on our natural resources. From rising temperatures and extreme weather events to dwindling water and other natural resources and biodiversity loss, the signs are very clear. We must act decisively and collectively to curb the negative impacts. In Uganda, as you are aware, the effects of climate change have left our country with significant and progressively perpetual losses and damage. For example, prolonged droughts in the country's north and northeast, flooding in the country's west, central, and eastern region, and the cities and the urban areas, landslides in Elgon and the other highland regions, and the bursting of numerous river banks in the Rwenzori, for example, Rimanyamamba. All these negative impacts have caused enormous damage to the national economy, society, and ecosystems. Livelihood systems have also been affected and so has natural growth because of the investments that must now be put in place to address the damages. Fellow Ugandans, in response to the devastation caused by climate change, government is implementing a number of interventions through several policies, laws, strategies, among others, to reduce carbon emissions, protect our water bodies, and promote renewable energy sources. Productive participation in the upcoming COP28, a multi-stakeholder national organizing committee was constituted and has to date met to strategize on Uganda's participation. Furthermore, my ministry undertook a series of meetings in relation to the various thematic areas of adaptation, mitigation, capacity building, technology development and transfer, gender, compliance and transparency, and climate finance. Capacity building was also undertaken for Uganda's negotiators, and the dialogues convened to generate their positions. I'm happy to announce to you that Uganda, with support from the government of United Arab Emirates, secured a pavilion and an office for this year's COP, where we shall conduct our bilateral meetings, showcase our content in terms of climate actions, and carry out exhibitions, among others. Fellow Ugandans, and as we go to COP28, the key priorities for Uganda include: 1. We shall take a firm stand on the inevitable and essential phase down of fossil fuels and call for the tripling of renewable energy output to 11,000 gigawatts by the parties. 2. We shall call for a comprehension of climate finance instead of piecemeal reform. There should be a special focus on supporting climate positive development across the global south to ensure that developing nations have access to affordable and available climate finance to drive a just transition. Donors should double adaptation finance by 2025 in order for the world's most vulnerable nations to withstand the impact of climate change. Furthermore, donor countries should also honor their commitments to close up the $100 billion pledge this year. We expect a firm position on putting lives and livelihoods at the heart of climate process, with the aim of advancing the world's focus on nature, food, health, and resilience as part of a robust framework for the global goal on adaptation. COP27 created a loss and damage funding arrangements, and this fund is expected to be approved by COP28. This should be advanced during this COP. The Ministry of Water and Environment acknowledges the role of the media and is using the various channels to disseminate information to the public. I implore other media houses to position themselves during this period to inform, educate, and mobilize communities toward sustainable climate action.